So now I'm coming to the topic of pitching. Have you pitched before? What does pitching mean? You can see it in the faces of those young ladies. They are trying to throw a ball into a goal. They are concentrating very hard with all of their energy on hitting and reaching that goal that they are focusing on. Faces really tell you a lot um, about what pitching is about. And it's actually coming from the word elevator pitch, which means that you happen to, coincidentally run into someone and you have a couple of minutes, the elevator ride, and you are able to describe that idea that you have to the person who is with you in that elevator. And by the end, uh, you have a deal with that person. So this is like, a huge challenge, of course, because you need to be able to communicate whatever you want to sell that person um, in a very fast, visual way to have a deal at the end. So that's the challenge we have when we need to pitch our ideas. So what's the difference between pitching and pitching on stage versus presenting? And you have understood that with my previous description already. When we present our ideas on the right side here, then we are giving a comprehensive overview about our venture, about the plans we have, and we have a lot more time than the time you have in an elevator ride. And you have different goals as well. I mean, you are presenting yourself, you're showing your competencies, you want to be visible, you maybe educate someone, something like a TED talk, you're sharing knowledge with other people. A stage pitch is something where you have just a couple of minutes, maybe you have 7 minutes, um, and it's a very targeted storytelling exercise actually. And you might have to select very specific parts of that entire knowledge that you have about the product or service that you are creating, to be able to connect with that person you are talking to, or to that audience that is listening to you. And most importantly, the goal is that people remember you. They remember you as a person, they remember your product, and they act on it. They will approach you. You're able to sell in the sense of, and in the connection of our hackathon coming up, people will come to you after you pitch your idea in the front, on stage, or whatever it is that you're pitching in the digital space as well. You want people to come and say, hey, can I work with you? How do we do that? So very different setup and different motivation behind it. So what does an elevator pitch actually need? You need to address those points here in this very short amount of time that you have. So you need to address, who is it for? Whose problem you're solving? What is the name of your product? That's something that people can remember. And what is the market category, that key benefit that people gain when they interact with your product or service? Who is the competition about that, and why are you unique? You can see all of it um, aiming to make people understand and remember you at the same time. I've already said it, storytelling is key. You need to know who sits in front of you so that you can understand which kind of elements need to be part of your storytelling so that they remember you. So 90% actually for you, of your effort, and for you to understand how you have to frame or put together your story is to understand the audience. You understand their background, their interests, and what they are looking for. Remember, you are trying to make them act. How can you find out which elements will make them act? We need to know about them. That's the homework you need to do. And then you need to choose those parts that you can put together as a story that connect to these people that you know you're talking to. Should be very short in the sense of don't have more than 3 to 5 key messages. At best, you have only one message. It's the power of one. People cannot remember many things in their mind. Make it easy for them to remember you and to act and approach you afterwards. Visual is very, very important because visuals connect to people's brains and minds in a much better way than text. Remembering our goal, we want to be the only people, the only person that is remembered so that people can come and approach you afterwards. So here there's a small formula on, how you can compose this story. It's recommended to spend 5% of the time on a hook, so something that is maybe completely out of the line and different than anybody can say, so to grab listeners' attention. Imagine you're presenting your idea, you're pitching your idea after 20 other people have already done so. How do you wake them up and make you how do you wake them up and make them listen to you? Take about 20% about the need. What is this about that your product and service is covering, and explain how this will work. What's the unique part of it and what's new? Focus on the benefits and the competition as well here, and then come back and say, okay, these are the important points that I've touched upon, and this is what I want you to remember. Very important part, even if it's only 5% at the end. If that's missing, you're missing out a lot. Same goes for the hook to grab listeners' attention. So by now, maybe you got this as well. It's really important to enjoy the journey, and it's important to have fun, because this fun and this humor jumps over and connects to your audience. And working together should always have a fun element, of course, as well, because that's why we do it, right? So make sure you have fun doing what you're doing. And now let's come again and use the iceberg visualization. You have pitches ahead of you. You have at least 2 pitches ahead of you. And we would like to turn around the iceberg now. So you have only part space for the part on top of the waterline. You have to choose certain elements, not elephants. I love actually the elephant analogy as well, but that's another story. You have to choose and select very wisely which parts you're putting above the waterline, and not feel bad about everything else that you're not talking about. Maybe what you've already finished, what you're so proud of, what you're still planning and looking forward to, and all the motivation and the team members and everything else that excites you about your idea. You really have to take that plunge, that jump, and say, I'm turning around the iceberg and I'm going to feel okay about leaving out things that might be important to me. I will focus on what's important to the audience, so that they can act and come and approach you. So here's the pitches that are ahead of you. At the very beginning of the hack, you have to pitch your idea to find a team. And the second one then is at the end of the hack, where you have to present your project to a jury. Very different kind of audience. And then hopefully You will want to talk about your idea to family, friends, and other people that might, you know, be helping you on the way of, continuing to work on your project. That is at least something we very much wish for, that you can use this hackathon as a kickoff, as a starting point for something that you actually want to develop. So your task here now at the end of this, that you can think through and take with you, um, to really work it out before you come to the pitching at the beginning of the hackathon, is to understand this difference between the two concrete pitches that are ahead of you, and that you take some practice, um, before you actually do it in front of all of the participants here. And I would like to give you a couple of recommendations, um, actually three concrete elements that you should take with you into these pitches that are ahead of you. So the first one is the pitching your idea to find a team. And I would love to, you to put some thought into a cool, innovative idea, something that you can grab people's attention at the very beginning. Um, Something maybe awkward, something different, so that it sticks in people's mind, that relates to your idea, and to get into why you are doing this. It's very, very important to show your motivation. And if you remember, people join you and buy stuff from you because of your why you are doing it, and not, the product and service itself. And then it would be interesting, of course, for people who listen to you, if they know what kind of skills you're looking for, so that they can match this and say, well, I have some skills here that I can contribute, um, to help you as an idea owner to build this idea and to become a team with complementing skills. Now, the next one, a little bit later, then after the very intensive time together with your team, is the pitch to the jury. Here it is important, and that maybe you can, not maybe, but probably you can do only a little bit later. So that first part is that you really make sure that you know about the evaluation criteria, so that you can select the story line based on these criteria and requirements, because that's what the jury is looking for. So that has to be part of your story, can only be done later. Important is that you have a very clear language, and that you inspire with maybe the elements of your story. Should not be something boring, so be very creative here, in how you communicate about your idea. Very special tip here, speak about use cases, and how your customers interact with the product or service you are creating. Be visual and be memorable is, of course, one that always helps and is part of every storytelling. Here also very important, to stick out maybe from the other pitches from the other teams. Okay, I hope I have given you a lot of useful input. I'm very much looking forward to work with you, to support you during the hack. Here's the different ways how you can connect with me. You can connect with me already now. You don't have to wait until the hack. Use the opportunity, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed our session, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the 13th at the kickoff of the hack.